When an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside as fate. Knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon error also. It is a fact that cannot be denied. The wickedness of others becomes our own wickedness, because it kindles something evil in our own hearts. Understanding does not cure evil, but it is a definite help, inasmuch as one can cope with a comprehensible darkness. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Without, everything seems discordant. Only within does it coalesce into unity. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. I find that all my thoughts circle around God, like the planets around the sun, and are as irresistibly attracted by Him. I would feel it to be the grossest sin if I were to oppose any resistance to this force. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. It all depends on how we look at things, and not how they are in themselves. Freedom stretches only as far as the limits of our consciousness. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. The little world of childhood with its familiar surroundings is a model of the greater world. The more intensively the family has stamped its character upon the child, the more it will tend to feel and see its earlier miniature world again in the bigger world of adult life. Naturally, this is not a conscious, intellectual process. The man who promises everything is sure to fulfill nothing, and everyone who promises too much is in danger of using evil means in order to carry out his promises, and is already on the road to perdition. Through pride, we are ever deceiving ourselves. But deep down below the surface of the average conscience, a still, small voice says to us, something is out of tune. The healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers. The secret is that only that which can destroy itself is truly alive. There are as many nights as days, and the one is just as long as the other in the year's course. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. The unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good, not only dark, but also light. Not only bestial, semi-human, and demonic, but superhuman, spiritual, and, in the classical sense of the word, divine. The word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Seldom, or perhaps never, does a marriage develop into an individual relationship smoothly and without crises. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. So it is that you come to know what a real God is. The God wants my life. He wants to go with me, sit at the table with me, work with me. Above all, He wants to be ever present. The growth of the mind is the widening of the range of consciousness, and each step forward has been a most painful and laborious achievement. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. The pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. My soul, where are you? Do you hear me? I speak. I call you. Are you there? I have returned. Here I am again. I have shaken the dust of all the lands from my feet, and I have come to you again. I am with you. After long years of long wandering, I have come to you anew. Shall I tell you everything I have seen, experienced, and drunk in? Or do you not want to hear about all the noise of life and the world? But one thing you must know, the one thing I have learned, is that one must live this life. This life is the way, the long sought-after way to the unfathomable, which we call divine. There is no other way. All other ways are false paths. Follow that will and that way, which experience confirms to be your own. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own souls. They will practice Indian yoga and all its exercises, observe a strict regimen of diet, learn the literature of the whole world, all because they cannot get on with themselves, and have not the slightest faith that anything useful could ever come out of their own souls. Thus, the soul has gradually been turned into a Nazareth, from which nothing good can come. Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge. When one is not understood, one should, as a rule, lower one's voice. Because when one really speaks loudly enough and is not heard, it is because people do not want to hear. One had better begin to mutter to oneself. Then they get curious. We are in a far better position to observe instincts in animals or in primitives than in ourselves. This is due to the fact that we have grown accustomed to scrutinizing our own actions and to seeking rational explanations for them. We should not pretend to understand the world only by the intellect. We apprehend it just as much by feeling. Therefore, the judgment of the intellect is, at best, only the half of truth, and must, if it be honest, also come to an understanding of its inadequacy. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Loneliness does not come from having no people about one, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself, or from holding certain views which others find inadmissible. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. For it all depends on how we look at things, and not on how they are in themselves. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. The meaning and design of a problem seem not to lie in its solution, but in our working at it incessantly. Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health.